Hey, so welcome to day 5 of the June Reset Challenge. And if you have been following along each day with the daily tutorials, then well done. I mean that in all seriousness. It's really good to stop and recognize for a minute what you've done and how far you've come, because it means something taking some time to put yourself first and to make decisions around what's important to you and to really practice that. And I can't emphasize that enough. This program was developed to really focus in on the kind of important part that we really need to dig into before we start to get serious about our goals and ambitions. And it's a process which is a combination of really connecting with our own needs, our own intuition, our own dreams, and then putting them into practical steps. So today is the day when we pull all of that together. So I hope you feel like you have been able to open up your horizons a bit more, that the practice of tapping into creativity and really being able to cultivate a sense of play is helping you to take the pressure off, make it feel more like an act of enjoyment, an act of doing something for yourself, rather than it becoming a kind of a scary prospect or a sense of win or lose or succeed or fail, because it doesn't need to be, and that's not actually how it works. And I've talked before about the importance of grit and perseverance. That's the key ingredient to success. So if that's the case, it's really crucial that you make sure that you're heading in the right direction, that actually you are comfortable and clear in your goals and what you want to be doing, how you want to be spending your time. And quite often that's an overlooked measure of success. Like, how do you want your week or your day to look? Those are the kinds of shifts that make a real difference to our health and well-being on a day-to-day basis, rather than kind of abstract, oh, I just wish I was somewhere else, or I hate my job and I wish I was just doing something different. If you're thinking more along the lines of, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want my work or my career or my home life or the way I spend my time to look? Then that is going to give you more of a tangible idea of what's important and much more clarity on your goals. So I hope that you are with me on all of that. If you've missed any of the other tutorials, then they're available on YouTube. All of these are going to just be available for as long as you want. So I would just recommend coming back to them whenever you want. I'm creating the exercises and tools as separate edits, so you can just use those as 5-minute meditations and visualizations whenever you want as well. So, having said all of that, I am going to dive in with the intention for today, which is to translate your insights and clarity into actionable steps and a powerful intention for the next phase. So, like I said, that is what this whole process has been about. It's about really getting clarity on your North Star. I think that's the best way of putting it, because the more I try and talk about it, the more it kind of gets sort of complicated. It's about finding your North Star. That's what this framework, this methodology is based on. And today's insight is that clarity is powerful. So I hope that you're feeling that you're at a point of clarity now. But authentic living comes from combining self-awareness with meaningful action. So it's all well and good to do the work, to talk the talk, to shift your awareness. And I see in practice the power of simply shifting your awareness. But at the same time, so many of us are searching for meaning and purpose and fulfillment. And that can only develop if we start to put our ambitions, our dreams into meaningful action. And whilst it's sort of obvious, yes, we know that we need to do that, it's always a really tricky, difficult hurdle. And that's why today's exercises should help you to get clarity on them, but also to be able to break them down into digestible, easy steps. Okay, so if you haven't done the previous tutorials, I would recommend that you go back and have a look at them. If you haven't, you'll just have to look at it in terms of thinking about what your ambitions are. But like I said, it's important that you've done the work first, so I would recommend that you go back. So based on your reflections from the last 4 days, what's one key dream, ambition, or area of focus that you want to make significant progress on in the next 30 to 60 days? And this should be something exciting and aligned with your values. And the more that you get into it, the more you talk about it, the more it lights you up. I'll give you 10 minutes to pause the video in a second and really get into that, looking back on the workbook, the journal, the activities that you've done over the last 1 to 4 days, and just let it flow. Just really think about what's one key dream from those areas, from your area of focus. And then note down my next ambition. And I want you to really kind of get into it. What's your next big ambition? Okay, so you can pause the video now and then come back once you've done that. So, what's going on out there? Someone's shouting in Italian. Ignore me. Okay, so activity 2. This should take about 15 minutes. So for your next big ambition that you've just explored, that you've just put down, brainstorm the first 3 to 5 small concrete steps that you need to take to get started. So don't worry about the whole journey. Don't kind of get carried away in things like you might want to go away and, sort of do the research. Don't worry about getting into that just yet. Okay, it's your dream, it's your ambition. Just think about the first 3 to 5 small steps that you can take to get started. So as an example, if you wanted to start your own business, some of the simple steps that you could take to get started could be that you look into how you might register at Companies House. You might look into what sort of website might be useful. You might go away and look at other professionals in your arena who you look up to and that you want to think about how you might model your business plan on theirs. So those are some ideas, and they're perhaps a little bit bigger, but actually no, you need to start somewhere. So it's really thinking about what are those steps. It doesn't have to be getting into it, it's just maybe looking into things, making sure that you take some time and going from there. Okay, so then 15 minutes to do that, and then we will move on to activity 3. So just pause the video now. And then this activity just takes 5 minutes. And what I want you to do is to complete the following sentence to create a powerful intention for yourself for the coming weeks. So try to make it concise, positive, and inspiring. Okay, so the kind of outline or the frame for it is: I will embody the feeling or value from days 3 and 4 by taking some specific action from activity 2, which we just did, to bring more of your desired outcome from day 3 into your life. So that all sounded a bit complicated the way that I put it, but let me have a look at what I did. So you could say, for example, that your feeling or value from day 3 or 4 could be empowerment. Okay, so if it's empowerment, then you just need to look at how that links to the action that you just talked about. So if you've got, say, 3 to 5 small actions, then you can link, say, empowerment to starting to do more speaking in public. That would feel empowering. I feel like I need to try to do more public speaking. So that would be the step. And then the last part, by bringing more of your desired outcome from day 3 into your life. And so I think my desired outcome was something like, one of them was to feel more fulfilled. So you could apply those in that way and really break it down in terms of, this is my value, okay? This is what I want to be. I want to be empowered by doing more public speaking, because that is what I have identified as a next step, which will then bring more of a sense of fulfillment into my life. And it could be, other examples might be fulfillment or feelings of joy or feelings of power, or whatever they might want to be. It's your desired outcome. What do you want to feel more of? Freedom. It could be anything you want, but that's an example of how it will fit. So if you break it down like that and look at it, then you can look at how my intention will embody for each of those different ambitions that you talked about, that you've identified, those 3 to 5 small concrete steps that you want to take to get started. Apply those to your value, then your action, and then your desired outcome of how you want to feel. So take a minute to go through all of those and breaking them down into those 3 ways. And then, you can refer to the workbook from it, but if you just write down, I'll give it to you again. I will embody the feeling or value from day 3 or 4 by taking specific action from activity 2 to bring more of the desired outcome from day 3 into my life. Okay, so just have a go at that now. Pause the video. Give yourself maybe 5 minutes. Okay, and then I would like you to think about, so we're coming up to the summary now, but I'd like you to think about the key takeaways from today, but also from the challenge as a whole. Okay, so what's the most significant shift or insight that you've gained during this challenge? And so for me, something that I noticed was that when I started out the week and I was thinking about what my intentions, ambitions, what my dreams were, I was actually starting quite small. I was starting in quite a limited way by thinking about, maybe if I was to do more of one thing, I suppose invest more time in, I don't know, what was I thinking about? Writing. If I invest more time into just writing an article, for example, if I do an article a week, then that's what I'm aiming for. Whereas by the end of the week, it was much bigger than that. It was more like I want to be writing, and actually my big ambition is that I want to write a book. So it had completely changed from, just a sort of small operational thing to that my big dream is to write a book. So then I've got clarity on what are the steps to do that, where do I start? But it's completely shifted from where it was 5 days ago. And I think that's been really powerful because, I'm someone who's conscious of these tools and resources. I use them for myself, I use them for clients. But what's been powerful has been the way in which I have intentionally designed this program course series to focus on this aspect of getting stuck at the start, of feeling unclear about what we really want, how we want to move forward with authenticity and purpose, because we're always stuck at the how. We're always stuck at the, oh yeah, that's too much, I mean, I would like to write a book, but that's, I haven't got the time. It would be, too intense, and that's not me. To opening up, why, why is that? Let's look at, forget all of that. What's your intuition telling you? What's your intuition saying? What can you control? The process of breaking that down is so powerful. And I'd kind of forgotten how effective it is because I hadn't done it for a while. But when I looked at it in terms of, it was kind of liberating that there were certain things that I had no control over and I was wasting my time on them, to other stuff where it was like, why don't you just stop dragging your heels over this and do it? Like, just make a plan for it. It's not going to take long. Just arrange some time and do it. So I don't want to make that sound like that was not being compassionate towards myself. It was more like, actually, I have the ability to do this, and it's causing me stress in the background because I'm kind of putting it on hold, on standby. But it would actually ease my stress and tension to just take responsibility for it. So that practice is just really insightful, and it really brings clarity at a deeper level. And then the idea of creativity. We talked on day 2 about, oh gosh, let's go to an art gallery, let's go somewhere new, simple things that we never do, which we never make time for. But if we were to, it just opens up our minds and our way of thinking in a different way. And then that leads into this whole important aspect of creativity on day 3, which is, no, day 4 even, which is the sky's the limit, right? So that activity was all, by the end of this year, what do you want to have achieved? And that's a sobering thought because it really focuses you in on, that's a decent chunk of time there. That's 6 months. I've actually done all of these things in the last 6 months. And that's, there's quite a few things there that I'm proud of, that I can take credit for. I've done that. This is where I am now. So, there's not such a limit on what I can do next. And actually thinking about what you want your day to look like, where you want to be, how you want to feel. I had a fantastic session with a coach of mine as I was going through the transition from leaving my full-time job to working for myself. And I was sat here in exactly the same space. And, she was saying, what do you want your say your business is a car. What do you want your car to look like? And it was a visualization. It was brilliant. It was like, what kind of car? What colour? What does it look like inside? What music are you playing? What can you see? And it was so powerful in terms of kind of creating this idea of something that I could just start from scratch. It was totally my decision. And so what I took from that in practical terms was that this office used to be this disgusting sort of pink colour that I bought because I thought that it looked a bit more like a soothing colour. And then I put it up and it actually was more like a kind of vomitous, cookie coloured awfulness. And it always made the room look sort of depressing. It made me look pale and I just hated it. And I looked around and I said, you know what? I hate this room. I hate that there's not enough pictures up. I hate the colour of it. I just hate it. I'm going to just completely make it the way that I want to make it, and then it's a fresh start, and I can get into my business with the knowledge that I've just designed it the way that I want. And I made it into a project, and it took me probably about 2 weeks to do it. Bought the paint, went to B&Q, did all the stuff, found the pictures, and it could be perceived as a project of procrastination before I actually got into it. People are entitled to that opinion. But for me, it was absolutely a project where I was taking that idea of, what do I want this to look like? This is my decision. This is my tiny little space. What do I want it to look like? And I had it envisaged or envisioned in my mind and could see that this is what I wanted. So that is a practical way that you can get creative and decide, this is what I want my future to look like in practical terms, and that opens up all the other possibilities as well. And so then that brings us into today, which is fertile ground for what is the thing? What is the dream? Come back to all of the evidence from before and actually clarify all of this and put it down. Make it into something concrete and real. So that was a bit of a long version of my significant shift or insight, but I think that this process has been actually pretty revelatory for me to go through it, and it's been such a vital thing to do in the middle part of the year when the sun is out for longer and there's more energy and there's more to do and we can go out and enjoy the sunshine. And I mean, I live in London, so it's kind of, you've got to make hay while the sun shines. So why not? That's why June is a really good time to do this. Anyway, so the final question is, what's one thing I will commit to doing to support my authentic purpose this month? What's one thing? What did I put? Have a think for a minute while I consult my notes. Mine was to make time to do some creative writing once a week, because I love writing and that's how I'd like to spend my time. So that's what I'm going to do. But yours will be different. So you just think about what that looks like. And that brings us to the end. So huge congratulations for completing the June Reset Challenge. It's really powerful. It's really powerful that you've done this. You're taking steps towards your own purpose, getting clarity and just connecting with your authenticity. And I hope that you will continue to use some of these tools, because I know that I have. So just think about how you can integrate them into your day-to-day. It's also worth mentioning, it's really powerful that you've shown up for yourself. I can't emphasize that enough, because so many of us just squash out that time. And it's really important to give that to ourselves, not as a luxury, as a survival mechanism. What's the point of working so hard if we're heading in the wrong direction? Honestly, that is literally what so many of us are doing. We are working ourselves half to death, not to sound dramatic, but so many of us are burning out. And you kind of got to stop and think, how is this proportionate in terms of how much energy I'm putting in and what I'm getting out? That's where actually getting some clarity is really powerful. So if you are interested in going deeper on any of this and you want to look at any more training or coaching, or you're interested in a session with me, then just go have a look on my website, let me start that again. It's just catherineskinner.org. Okay, so have a look. There's loads of free stuff on there, including all of the workbooks, but some other ebooks and references and resources and things like that. There's also a workshop coming up, which is going to start next Thursday on the 19th of July. And that will be a group online workshop. It's available to book now. It is £35 for a session, but right now, if you book before Monday, you get £15 off. And if you use the entry code for this course from the workbook, then you get a further 10% off. So have a look, get stuck in, make the most of it. There's also the Find Your North Star full online course, which is available on the website. And that is really getting into this at a much deeper level. So it comes through with, the kind of overarching is very similar to what we've done with the June Reset Challenge. The next step with Find Your North Star is getting into limiting negative challenges internally and externally in terms of the real life adversity and discrimination that we face as women and how we deal with that. And it is packed with all of the tools and resources around it is tough, and it is tougher for women. We are more likely to experience poverty, burnout, trauma, male violence. I have been over this many times. But the point is that because of that, it's really vital that we take care of ourselves and we look at what we need to do for ourselves. But it also means that we need to believe in ourselves because it gets tough. And so this brings all of the tools to do that. And it's very focused on being evidence based. I take some of the inspiration from cognitive behavioral therapy, lots of inspiration from the work that I've done frontline with clients over the last 20 years, but also from my own experience of having recovered from burnout. So there's loads in there that will be of interest to you. But that's it from me. If you are interested to learn more, please get involved in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback and check out the website. Okay, thanks. Bye.